Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jackman Nicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you don't have the chance, go check out our website, Just Saying Football, and follow us on Instagram at Just Saying No GWJS for article and video updates. Week 3 continues as we head into the Sunday 1 p.m. games. Let's kick it off right now, Jack. We have the Indianapolis Colts heading to Tennessee, taking on the Titans in an AFC showdown. What you got for us?
Yeah, I love both these teams, their run games. I think that this is going to be a really interesting battle to see where these teams are at right now. The Titans actually really got going last week with Derrick Henry in an overtime game against the Seahawks. So, I think that this is going to be another Derrick Henry show, but we have a really good defense in Indianapolis,
No, absolutely. I totally agree. I'm a little worried with Carson Wentz. He had both ankle injuries. I don't know if he's feeling better. He didn't practice on Wednesday. Doesn't look like he might be in the game for Sunday. That's a huge hit. That means Jacob Eason is coming in. Sam Ehlinger is on the IR for them. I think that is a great and easy way for the Titans to win. Although the Colts have a solid defense, I think eventually it will become the Derrick Henry show in Tennessee. Once upon a show for them after a monster second half against Seattle that he's coming off of. I'm going with the Titans right out the gate with this one. No Wentz. It's a hard boost for them to be Jacob Eason's first career start. Don't love that.
Yeah, I don't really love that either. I think that what's great about the Titans is we finally got to see them be more efficient, and they're going to have to do that this week. Their defense is going to be able to pressure the rookie quarterback, but they do have a lot to fix on that defense. We finally saw Julio Jones, get going last week. He had 14 targets on the season already, 9 catches. He should have had a touchdown last week. I agree. I think it's all Titans. But on the Colts side, now we have Jacob Eason stepping into this role, and we're going to need the run game and these receivers to step up. Michael Pittman, he's been amazing, and we have him really stepping up for them. And Jonathan Taylor on the other side, they're going to need this run game going. They need Hines involved heavily.
No, absolutely. And one thing I want to say about Pittman, huge game last week. 8 receptions, 123 yards. That's what you want to see. Moving on, we have the Atlanta Falcons coming to New York, taking on Big Blue. What you got for us, bud?
Yeah, I'm talking about a big chance for the Giants to actually win a game, and I believe that they can win this game by a couple of possessions the way that Atlanta has been playing. It's been a pretty rough road for Atlanta so far this season. And we want to, see these teams kind of have a shootout, but the Giants are at home this week. I think that what they went through last week in the close game, losing off the, field goal, the offside penalty on Dexter Lawrence, it's a tough thing to watch. And I think that they're going to be able to try to make less mistakes. They've had a long week. They haven't played since last Thursday. Atlanta, they lost last week. I'm going with the Giants on this just straight out the bat. But, I need to see these receivers get involved. I would love to see, Kadarius Toney in this, but Sterling Shepard out the gate this season, he's looking like the number 1 receiver, and I don't think Atlanta is going to be able to stop him.
Yeah, he's been having a great start to the season. One thing I did like to see is that Barkley did have 3 more carries. Coming back from a big ACL injury. You just love to see anyone just improving, getting more work done in the game. Took off like a 42-yard run, although that was the bulk of his yardage. It was just nice to see him have that burst and explosiveness on the play. As the season continues, I think he's only going to improve and see more carries. This is a tough one for me. I'll go with you on the Giants on this one, but I don't think it's going to be as easy a victory as you're making it seem. I thought the Falcons really, they did fall apart again towards the end of that game, but there was a flash of moment where it looked like a Falcons offense of older Matt Ryan was really moving them downfield. I think if they give the ball a little bit more to Mike Davis and allow Kyle Pitts to get open, allow Calvin Ridley to get a little bit more open, buy them some more time, allow them to open up the playbook a little bit more. Only 24 carries for the first 2 weeks. I think that could be really beneficial for them. But I will go with the Giants in this one. I think they have the better defense and can make the bigger plays. And hopefully Daniel Jones in year 3 builds on this good game against Washington, is able to do the same. But moving on, AFC West showdown, man.
Yeah.
Los Angeles Chargers going to Kansas City, taking on the Chiefs. What you got?
Oh, man. I mean, we saw the Chiefs and the Chargers lose 1 possession games last week in very different ways. The Cowboys were able to hit a huge field goal on the Chargers, classic Chargers 1 possession game. And then Lamar Jackson, prime time, 4th down, made that run against Kansas City, beat him out. Kansas City, I think, is out for blood in this game. They're at home. They do not like coming off a loss. That's Patrick Mahomes' first loss in September. I believe last week he threw his first interception in the month of September, which is just incredible for him not to have done that yet in his career. But on the other side, I'm really loving this Chargers offense, dude.
No, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I think Herbert, there was one play that he made where they did a streak route and he just quickly turned to the right and was able to just throw it over Trevon Diggs' head and just missed his hand. Really, really impressive throw. But man, I know like historically Mahomes doesn't play his best games against the Chargers. They seem to be his kind of kryptonite within his division. Every team has that. For my team, it's the Packers. So everyone kind of has that, but I think coming off a loss like last week with the fumble from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that fourth down movement by the Baltimore Ravens to go for it and get the first with like 1:03 left on the clock. I think they're coming back with a vengeance. Kansas City get back in their home turf. I'm going with the Chiefs on this one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against Kansas City coming off a loss, going at home. But I mean, this Chargers defense is looking legit to me. I think that, we saw the Chiefs get a little bit rattled last week at points in the game, and that kind of is what cost them from getting a big lead on Baltimore last week. But we saw the Chargers last week. I love Mike Williams and how he played. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler is going to be okay in playing this game. We have. This is such a big offensive potential. And honestly, I think that Kansas City's defense is really going to have to step up if they're going to want to take this Chargers team down.
So you're definitely going with the Chargers, it sounded like.
I'm feeling like Kansas City, what we saw to them last week. I know it's Lamar Jackson. I know it's, the Ravens and at home, but what we saw, I want to see them be able to shut down, an offense like this. It's a high octane one with Justin Herbert. So, maybe I'll bet against the Chiefs. It'll make things interesting.
All right, I like it. Moving on, AFC North showdown. Cincinnati Bengals heading to Pittsburgh, taking on the Steelers. Thoughts?
Man, I don't know about you, but I think that Big Ben is looking, it's looking like he's running out of gas in a way here. I don't know. This Bengals team is looking pretty scrappy. These guys, they play good defense. Joe Burrow is, supporting this cast of receivers, and Joe Mixon is carrying his own here. But Pittsburgh at home, we got to watch out for their defense against this offense. That's what I'm looking for. This Bengals offense against, this high-powered Steelers defense.
Absolutely. When you're looking at the Steelers defense, they are great on all four cylinders, all throughout their entire team. But I love this Bengals offense, man. They are young. Yeah. They're talented. They got a lot of like swag to them. I'm really down with them. I love them a lot. They beat my Vikings early on in the season, week 1. Big Ben with that left pec injury. If he's not in that game, that's a big blow to them. Their offense has not been really moving the ball efficiently. And when Mason Rudolph gets in there, I don't think it's going to get any better. If they go Dwayne Haskins, I think he adds maybe a little bit more with his athleticism, but I bet you they're going to go with Mason Rudolph to start if Big Ben isn't in there. And I'm going to go with the assumption that he isn't in there. I think as tough as he is, I think he's going to miss a game early on in the season. So that way the following week he can get healthy and get ready and get back right into the season instead of risk a further one. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be that easy for the Bengals to just move the ball on them, but I think that they can make enough defensive plays without Big Ben to get the win. I'm going with the Bengals, man.
Yeah, I really like the Bengals in this game too. I love their defense. They've been keeping games close. They literally both of their first 2 games this year have been first possession games. Joe Burrow has been keeping them in it, and I think that now we're going to be able to see this shift in the AFC North, where the Steelers, they're going to have this high-powered defense, but with all of the stars that they have on offense, they still have so much to figure out at this point in the season. Besides Najee Harris, it seems like it's just hard to gauge. And, Deontay Johnson getting hurt last week, we don't know where he's going to be in this game. And, he is leading the team in targets right now. So if he's out, I don't know. It's going to be an identity crisis for the Steelers. So I'm going with the Bengals too.
Love it. Moving on. Chicago Bears heading to Cleveland, taking on the Browns. So there's a lot of familiarity with these two teams, believe it or not. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, former Viking staff for like 14 years, really familiar with this Bears team. Going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, these are two teams right now that, on paper they look like big, they could be threats. I mean, now I guess the main storyline here has to be Justin Fields. He's getting his first career start, and the Cleveland defense is not the defense I would want to be starting against,
I agree with you. And that's a good defense. So one thing I just want to point out about the Browns right now, Jedrick Wills, they're starting left tackle, and JC Treader, they're starting center, have not practiced at all this week. That's two huge blows to their team. And I mean, there's a good player on the Bears team. His name's Khalil Mack. People forget him. He was first team All-Pro linebacker and second team All-Pro defensive end in the same year. Gets a lot of sacks, man. And if there's not a lot of protection for Baker Mayfield, and there's no Jarvis Landry, and there might not be OBJ, although he's been a full participant, you never know with the knee injury. This is going to be a tough game for the Browns to win. It's going to come down to a defensive slugging fest.
Yeah, I honestly like the Browns in this one. I mean, I think that they have the opportunity to shut down Justin Fields, actually. I don't know. Myles Garrett on the other side, he's also all-pro potential, but it's going to be a big defensive matchup here. Both of these teams have a lot better offense, a lot better defenses going into this week than they do offenses. It seems like it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I do like Cleveland in this one. I think that their run game, I think that without the receivers in there, they're going to get Nick Chubb, who had a 95-yard performance last week, and Kareem Hunt, involved in the passing game to keep things moving. I do like the Browns in this one.
I am going opposite of you, and I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. I think that defense has a lot more experience in this Browns team. I think it's going to end up being a Khalil Mack show. And I think that all these injuries to the offensive line of the Browns is really going to help them get after the run game and not be able to allow them to move the ball efficiently down the field. Donovan Peoples-Jones, signal wide receiver, and Rashard Higgins are now the wide receiver 1 and 2, assuming there's no OBJ.
Yeah.
Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack, these guys are good at getting to the quarterback, getting into the backfield. So I'm gonna trust that defense. But moving on, we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Lions. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Lions, I saw something this week that somebody said, the Lions are going to be like a thorn in everybody's side this year. And I think it's because they have, a tough offensive line, a good run game, and a good defense. But we saw Jared Goff at points last week look very successful. We want to see him be as successful as he was in the first half last week. But this season, he's already thrown 93 passes. They're going to have to continue to try to run the ball on this Ravens defense, something Kansas City was not able to do last week. And the Lions defense is going to have to contain Lamar Jackson this week. It's very interesting to me. The Lions at home, I still like the Ravens in this one. I think that the way that their run game is going to be able to get it done, they're going to wear them down. And, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, both looking really good this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens also. I just think that offense and the defense is just much better than the Lions team overall. But that being said, I think that the Lions team have really impressed, especially in the first half against the Packers. If they're able to sustain that for all 4 quarters, they're going to be a much better team much sooner than everyone's anticipating. But I think that they are kind of a thorn in everyone's side. I don't know if you can necessarily just assume it's going to be an easy maul over. So you got to take them somewhat seriously. But that the Ravens are kind of aware of that given their situation and how they started the season, how they just are coming off this big win. They know that they're in it for the long haul. They want to go much farther than they did last year. They know about all their injury stories. So I'm going to stick with the Ravens on this one for sure. Moving on. New Orleans Saints going to New England, taking on the Patriots. Kind of a nice coaching matchup more than anything we got in this one.
A little Belichick, Sean Payton. That's
gotta love that.
In New England, a little meeting of the minds. Both of them
going big scheme guys.
Yeah,
big
both
scheme
of them
guys.
Through crazy transitions right now. Very different run games here. You have Damian Harris, who we saw, be an absolute beast last week. Breaking 8 tackles to get to a touchdown. He's going to be at home this week against a tough New Orleans defense, not against the Jets who we played last week, who have a more lighter defense. But I would love to see Jameis go up against this New England, defense and kind of bounce back to what he did in week 1. It's interesting to me. I want to see what Jameis does in this game. We have a really good sample of him and a bad sample, and it's like, how does he react?
Yeah, I jumped on a little bit too early onto his hype train. Shouldn't have done that. That's my bad situation. He did not do very well last week. So I'm gonna take the step back on that. I think that he has potential maybe, but Mac Jones looks comfortable. I think they got to get their offensive line down a little bit better. Got to give him slightly better protection, giving up a lot of hits to him, a lot of sacks. But outside of that, they have not been the Saints have not been running the ball a lot with Kamara last weekend, which bothered me. I didn't like the 8 attempts, only had 5 yards. It was super weird. I think you got to give this guy at least 13 carries. He's the 13 to 22 kind of guy. I want to see Jameis use him more in the passing game, like Drew Brees was so much, like he so frequently did. When he's in the open space, Kamara makes plays. He finds ways to score. All that being said, I'm going with the Patriots since they have the better scheme. I think that Mac Jones can move the ball downfield effectively against the Saints team.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with New Orleans going into this one. I think that their defense is probably going to be able to disrupt Mac Jones a little bit more. I like the fact that, Sean Payton is always prepared going in here. And now there's no Tom Brady. I always remember the Kenbrell Tompkins catch in New England when it was like Tom Brady got in the last 5 seconds. And, I think the Saints, whenever they go back there ever since then, there's a chip on their shoulder. No Tom Brady now. I think that Jameis bounces back. But 2 really disruptive defense in this. So I'm very interested to see what these offenses look like in this. I want Kamara involved, like you said.
No, he has to be more involved. He's the best player on the field whenever he's out there, and there's no Michael Thomas, so you got to utilize him more. But moving on, we have the Arizona Cardinals heading to Jacksonville, Florida to take on the Jaguars. Dude, Kyler Murray last week.
He had
80% completion. Are you freaking kidding me? He was putting up Madden numbers against my guys. It was brutal. Oh my God.
It was insane. And you have to look at this receiving core of, Rondale Moore, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Max Williams last week. Shout out to him having a literal career day. It's like you look at this team and what Cliff Kingsbury is trying to do, and it's just high pace, deep throws, air raid. It's these, Kyler's finally has the people around him. And this week he has a super juicy matchup against, Jags, who have just, been getting torn apart with these games. Urban Meyer has seemed to forgot James Robinson exists. There's no love for Urban Meyer and these James Robinson fantasy owners, but I'll tell you, I think that, it's an opportunity too with this really tough Arizona team. If Trevor Lawrence can step up here, that would be a very big boost for him in this team if they would be able to get this win. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the Cardinals are now one of the top threats in the NFC. Just, they have such big play potential every time they touch the ball.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I'm going to go with the Cardinals for sure on this one. You just hope that Trevor Lawrence against a good team could take the next step. Laviska being out this week or potential to be out this week. That's not what you want to hear. He was using him a lot. He had a lot of targets. Rondale Moore was killing it last week, absolutely tearing up the Vikings defense. He's going to get another opportunity to really feast on another defense that is pretty weak right now. You just kind of hope that Lawrence just takes the next step, and that's about it. This is a tough defense. They let up over 100 rushing yards to Dalvin. I think that they're going to want to bounce back and really bottle up James Robinson, who, like you said, is being lost in this offense and needs to be used more. But Urban Meyer, use him. So moving on, Washington football team heading to Buffalo, New York, taking on the Bills.
Big. You've had a question all week that you've been asking me about the Bills.
I just what's going on with this slow start? What is it? Is it the game footage that they all have from last year? Is that what you think it is? Like I am confused by the not so hot start by Josh Allen. I think I said MVP. He should be in the MVP conversation for this year, and I'm not looking good.
It's like we all thought that, honestly, but 56% completion from him is not what you want to see. He's only got 3 touchdowns in the first 2 games, and last year, he was top 5 in passing touchdowns in the whole league. So you expect a lot more from him. A slow start and trying to speed it back up is not what you want to do against Washington, who has Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young. We bring these guys up every week because week in and week out, they are dangerous. They have a great secondary. This is going to be a really big, test for Josh Allen. And if he can go and get this win, in Buffalo, I think that they can get it done. I think that their defense is legit too. I think Buffalo, Tre'Davious White, Ed Oliver, these guys are true defensive players. Tremaine Edmonds, they are literally tearing, offense apart, and they just can't get the offense going on the other side. I'd like to see Singletary get involved a lot more and Zach Moss as well.
I think Buffalo's going to win this one. I think that they have the offensive explosiveness to get the win that they're going to need to get at home. I think it was week 1 they were playing at home. They got the upsetting loss. You kind of want to bounce back for that in front of your fans. So this is the opportunity to do so. I think the Washington's definitely going to give them a run for their money. I like Heineke, man. He's fun to watch. He's rallied the team and the fans. Nothing against Heineke. He's played well in his 2 starts. And again, like I said, he's rallied the teams and the fans. And if you're able to do that and you find ways to win, it's exciting. I will say that I like him a lot. He's fun to watch.
And he got the win against the Giants last week. We were talking about in Thursday Night Football, and this guy just came in 73.9% completion. He threw 46 passes. He had 2 passing touchdowns. He had 336 yards through the air. With the offense that is missing Curtis Samuel right now. I love what he's doing right now, honestly, even as a Giants fan watching. I love to see that Taylor Heineke is, involved in this. He's a really hard worker. He's been getting it done. But this week, this is a tough matchup for them when we're being realistic about it. I think the Bills at home, it's a dangerous matchup. The defense is there. That could be a concoction for Washington to take a loss in this one.
Stephon Diggs, man. That's all I got to say.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. All right. That's all the time that we have. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Check us out, justsayingfootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying WJS, Just Saying No G WJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.